All right, folks, so today is going to be a day we're going to be working on Panzer. And if you guys remember from my last video, I upgraded to the PLM XL exchanger. Now, with that being said, I've been updating my cooling on various components, one being the transmission and obviously for my supercharger. The next thing I'm going to be replacing is this VRP exchanger. Now, there's not many options as far as the secondary exchanger for the E55 unless you fab up something. This was the only one at the time where you can have something where it mounts in between the crash bar and the radiator with power steering cooling lines, and if it's pretty much snug in between. The only downside to this, it's pretty much a one-pass exchanger, or not basically one pass, a single pass exchanger. Obviously it comes up from the top and everything drains out to the bottom on this side. I've never really liked the design because there's no way to drain air out of the system. So the way how I see it now, I'm no expert as far as the flow dynamics and all that other stuff, so you guys can correct me. I'm just pretty much all the flow is just going to flow down to here onto the bottom vanes and out the back. So it's leaving pretty much this section, if this unit is not completely filled, with an air bubble trapped into here in this section right here. But other than that, I got it mainly because it fit, it worked, and I was able to retain my top latch lock, which is right here, which is perfect. So I ended up getting the upgrade anyway. Now, with that being said, there's another provider that's actually making a better version than this one that's already provided from VRP. And here it is, the Suvneer secondary exchanger. It's a full dual pass exchanger with a very, very thicker core and a upper bleed port on this side, which is going to be beneficial. So obviously you get a slight increase in capacity, a proper dual pass exchanger with a bleed port. It's wider too, full 17 inches from left to right. And as far as thickness goes, let's go ahead and reset my gauge here. There you go, perfect. Let's do a little test here. Core thickness is exactly 50 millimeters, or 50.76 if you want to be that exact, which is awesome. And that's going to replace my more smaller single pass exchanger that I have up top, which is going to be great. Now, to kind of give it a more visual expression here, obviously it's going to be the inlet. It's going to drop down to the outlet. It's going to curve back again into the PLM exchanger and curve back out. So it's a perfect fluid-like motion all the way through, and gravity fed in a sense. With the other one, it's a single pass. It has to loop around the hose, come up again, loop up into the lower exchanger. That's with the single pass one from VRP. I didn't like it too much because I just didn't like to have that hose running all the way across. I didn't like that it was a single pass, and not only that, it was they didn't have a bleed port in any sense. So I wasn't sure if I had a pocket here because all the fluid running through. I wasn't sure there was like a dead space here. I would not know that. But as far as everything else goes, this is going to solve all those, and it's going to correct all those in a sense. And we're going to go ahead and get it on, put it onto Panzer. All right, so pretty much here's Panzer apart. And if you notice, I have to run the hose pretty much over the secondary air pump and all the way around just to get to the top portion of the heat exchanger. Now with the new design from Suvneer, I can just go from the top here where there's plenty of space and it just curl into the top, and that's it. So I can actually get rid of this old setup where I had to run it through a long way all the way around, which is not ideal, but luckily with Suvneer they redesigned and made their own variant. Just to save you the time on watching me struggle to remove some old hoses and reroute some lines, it's a pretty straightforward process. Here is the Suvneer exchanger installed and everything put together, and boy does it look nice.
Now for this new exchanger, fitment is snug in between the crash bar and the steering rack, so you won't have any issues when installing and sliding in between the two, which is good. And even though it is wider, still fits pretty good, and the routing of the hoses, there's still a good amount of space for you to route some lines in and out, and it going into the passenger side area behind the bumper, and obviously into the PLM exchanger right below it. Also with fitment, when you're closing your hood, if you have the E63 conversion from Suvneer as well, clearance is superb. You won't have any issues with it hitting. If you want to acquire your secondary exchanger, you can go into the description down below and click on the Suvneer link. From there on, you'll be able to purchase and add anything more to the cart. This is Panzer. You guys take it easy.